Alright, so do our equivalent, find the current, find the power, do your loop rules, junction rules, and then get the resistance, current, and voltage for every resistor. So I'm just going to go ahead and name each area 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, come back for the answers. Try it on your own. So we do our series first, the tiniest part, 8 plus 2 equals 10 ohms. Then I have a 10 ohm here and a 10 ohm here in parallel, so we get 2 over 10. Inverse it, we get 5 ohms, so I have a 5 ohm and a 5 ohm. So my total resistance is 10 ohms. From here, I can do the current. That is voltage over resistance. My voltage, when in doubt, we're going to use I wanted to make it 9, but let's make the math be nice. So it's a 40 volt battery. So we have 40 volts over 10 resistance. We get 4 amps is my current. Power is I times V. So it's 4 amps times my 40 volts, which gives me 160 watts. Then I go to my loop rule. So you'll notice there are 2 loops we could have made. We could have gone from here around, or we could have gone in green, same starting pathway, and then take the upper level. So in red, my loop rule is I start with 40 volts, I subtract volts 1, I subtract volts 2, I subtract, I'm sorry, I said red. So in red, I only go by my volts 3. And then I go back home, so it's 0. On my green section, I start with 40, I hit my 2 here, so minus volts 2, then I hit my orange, or my 4, minus volts 4, equals 0. And don't forget the beginning. I'm sorry, I'm doing this kind of quickly, which is why I'm making a couple mistakes. Don't forget you have to initially subtract your volts 1. So these are your 2 problems. So hopefully if you look at this, you can tell, hey, V3 took the place of both V2 and V4. V3 must be equal to V2 and V4 added together. Alright, now we do our junction rule. We have only 2 junctions. One here, and one here. So my current, and I'm going to call this 5 over here. So my current going into my first junction, my current of 1, must be equal to my current 3 and my current 2. Current 4 is the same as current 2, do not do both. Then when I come back to this, my current 2 going in, and my current 3 going in, for this one, is equal to whatever current is coming out, 5. Notice that 1 and 5 are also the totals. So that's my total current. So if I'm going to go back and label each area, for 1, my total current is the total current. We already found it. 4 amps. Then I know that my resistance there is 5. We already know. If I know V equals I times R, I can easily find my voltage by multiplying them together. So that takes 20 volts. Alright, and I can look at my first loop rule for number So I would go to 3. So for 3, I know, wait, it's 40 minus my 1, which I just found was 20, here. So I know 3 must be 20 volts. Because I can plug this back in. That's 20 volts. 40 minus 20 gives me 20 volts left. We have to have V3 be 20 volts. Alright, continuing on. If I got volts for my 3, I can already know that my resistor is 10 ohms. It started out there. I can now find my current. Current is equal to the volts over the resistor. Plug it in. You get 20 over 10, 2 amps. So you have 20 volts, 2 amps, 10 ohms. Move on. 2. If you were trying to cram it together, give yourself more space than I have. 2. We know it takes 2 ohms. That's my resistance. We don't know the voltage, we don't know the current. Or do we? Here's how you find the current. We already know what current 1 must be. Current 1 is 4A, 4 amps. We found out what current 3 is. Current 3 is 2 amps. Therefore, current 2 must also be 2 amps. We know V equals current times resistance, so it's 2 resistors times I, which is also 2, and U voltage is 4 volts. Then, so that gives you your voltage for 2, your current for 2, and your resistor for 2. Well, last but not least, 4. 4, we know that the current going through 4 is the exact same as the current going through 2. So if you're solving for 4, your current is still 2 amps. We know the resistance is 8 ohms. So it's V equals IR. So voltage is equal to 2 times 8. Voltage becomes 16 volts. Here's how you check. You go back to your loop and junction rules and make sure they all make sense. So, going back to our first one, we already used it. Alright, next one. 40 minus V2 minus V4 minus V1 equals 0. Well, let's check. So, our V2 is right here. It was 4 volts, so 40 minus 4. Then, we have to subtract our 16 volts from V4. And then, our volts from V1, which are 20. Hopefully, if you can't tell from here, put in your calculator. It equals 0. That is our hint that we did everything correct. Please write this out in a nicer new format, because this is very confusing, and watch the video twice. I highly recommend watching the video twice, so that once you can copy, twice you can follow along if you did not already get the correct answer for all of these. Alright, I will see you tomorrow. Good luck.